Now, if you are a fan of Narcissus, if you like that floral ingredient, I have a real treat for you today. This is a fragrance from the brand Atelier Materi. I've reviewed Cacao Porcelana, Rose Artois. I've reviewed a number of fragrances from this brand. This is a great one for the summertime, but it can also work really well as the weather starts to get cold because there's longevity, there's performance, there's a lot of great things to be said and complimented about this fragrance. So I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this release from, I think, 2021, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on Narcisse Taiji by Atelier Materi, I'll tell you about the notes, the smell, the performance, the evolution, comparisons to other popular fragrances, so on and so forth. But before I begin the video, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit that red button down below. It would really mean a lot to me. Hit the bell and also give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. So I actually have the note breakdown here on this official card from the brand, and this sounds really interesting, especially once you get into the heart. So in the top, yeah, pear, ginger root, and tuberose. So it's a little fruity, a little floral, a little spicy on account of that ginger. Narcissus absolute of hay and bran in the heart. And then you also have leather, patchouli, and musks in the dry down. Now there's a lot of heavy ingredients in here. The leather accord, the patchouli, the musks are also quite resolute. They add to that long-lasting quality of the perfume. And the one thing that I can tell you about this fragrance is, even if you're not a fan of the note of Narcissus, even if you're not a fan of floral ingredients, there's so much more to be admired and adored about this fragrance. So I'm excited to give you my thoughts on the smell. Let's start things off with a quick look at the presentation first. So right in the opening of this fragrance, what I got was something peculiarly earthy. And I say that because, you know, of course, with a name like Narcisse Taiji, you expect this to smell like Narcissus. You look at the note breakdown, you see tuberose, you think to yourself, oh, this is going to be a floral perfume. So surprisingly, that's not entirely the case here. And I say that because there's so much more going on in this fragrance. From the very beginning, I got that patchouli in here. I got the bran. I got that hay absolute. And it kind of gives it like this old, dusty, warm, you know, ethereal, like sophisticated, luxurious feel. It's kind of antique. It kind of has like this dark quality to it that I think is quite beautiful, if I'm being honest. And then Narcissus, of course, is here and it's loud and clear. You get it in the heart. If you've smelled Narcissus and other perfumes before, of course, you're going to recognize it immediately. But what I like about this fragrance is that it's not overly floral. In Rose Artois, the rose is really, really strong. I've done a review of that one. If you're looking for an explicitly floral fragrance, definitely check that one out. This one, on the other side of things, with the patchouli, the musks, the leather accord, the pear, the ginger, all of these other things happening in here, it kind of takes the attention away in a positive manner, I would say, from the Narcissus. And so it's not all about the Narcissus, but you have all of these other supporting roles and other characters in this production, this grand production that I think really contributes to the beauty of the perfume. Now, when it comes to hay, there's another fragrance that I really, really love that contains hay, and it's Chergui by Serge Lutens. I think hay is also an ingredient in Sova by Slumber House, which might be discontinued now. So whenever I've smelled it in other fragrances, it kind of gives me like this warm, old school, antique feel without smelling dated or like one of these old powerhouse scents. That's not what I'm alluding to, but I'm saying it does kind of give it like this classy, natural quality that I think is really easy to love. And there's just something about the hay, the bran, and the patchouli that kind of strikes these earthy tendencies that make it such a special perfume. So of course, with that consideration and that assessment of the smell, when would I see myself wearing this? You know, I think this is really great for a formal scenario. I think when I want to put myself in a cozy mindset, I would also probably reach for this fragrance. And I love everything from the ceramic looking cap and the gold accents. And I just think the presentation for Atelier Materi products is really, really nice. So I'm really happy to have the opportunity to not only add this to the collection, but also do a review on it for my loyal subscribers. And I really hope you took something of value from today's episode. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, of course I've tried a number of Narcissus-based fragrances, but this is unique for the hay, the brand, the patchouli, the leather accord, which is really nothing in here. A lot of leather accords, they can smell like suede leather if there's like cashmere on, or if there's, I think it's called saffronol. I could be wrong about that, but I know saffron is used in the synthesis of a leather accord. If you're thinking of something like ombre leather by Tom Ford, you're really not going to get a lot of leather from this one. But the overall smell, very pleasant. It is a sort of niche quality perfume. I don't like using that label often, but sometimes it gets the point across. It's a little bit more experimental, a little darker. Very easy to wear though at the end of the day. Longevity on this one was about 8 hours. Projection was amazing for the first 45 minutes of application. It radiated within an arm's length. It does have the pear in the opening, not sweet, not overly fruity at all, but it does have that touch of ginger that is really, really nice and adds to the natural tendencies. It became an elbows length scent right around hour 5, a skin scent right around hour 8 or 9 or something like that. So the longevity and the projection on this were actually quite decent. In terms of the versatility, perfectly unisex. You can dress it up, dress it down. It'll probably work a little bit better for somebody who's a little bit older. And I would say this one is great for the spring, the fall, and the winter. In the summer, I can see with the patchouli and the hay and some of these other earthy ingredients, the leather accord, it could be a little bit too heavy for some people, especially if you have a tendency of over applying as I do. And in terms of the presentation, the bottle is quite heavy. I don't know if you've ever held one of these bottles, but it's actually quite heavy. I would say maybe 800 grams or something like that. My final verdict on this fragrance is it's a beautiful fragrance. If you're a fan of Narcissus, you have to check it out. Even if you're not a fan of floral fragrances, including the note of Narcissus, there's still a lot to be admired and adored about this fragrance. So I know a lot of guys, especially if you have a tendency to not wear too many floral fragrances, I can see how some gentlemen out there might not have an aversion per se, but might explicitly go out of their way to avoid wearing or trying or sampling floral perfumes. Don't worry about this one. Try it anyway. There might be something about this that you really, really enjoy, because I know personally I do enjoy this one. However, I think I'm going to wait until the autumn to wear this one. And I was thinking about it, and it's not my favorite from the brand either. I really do enjoy this one. I think it's really special, don't get me wrong. I just love Cacao Porcelana. That is such an amazing fragrance. And then there's one with poivre in the name. It's a pepper-based fragrance, and that one was really, really nice as well. Anyway, I hope you have a chance to try this one. Thank you so much for joining me today. That was my review of this fragrance from Atelier Materi, Narcisse Taiji. If you own or have tried any products from this brand, why don't you go ahead and let me know what you think? Drop your comments down below. Always love to hear from you guys. And if you took something of value from today's episode, why don't you also go ahead and support this channel? It would really mean a lot to me by subscribing to it, hitting the bell, and giving this video a thumbs up. Thanks again for watching. Love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.